and gentlemen, it's Saturday night, it's party night. It's time to Club Buggery. Tonight, the Sporting Life presents Club Buggery, live from Chesty Bond, here in Australia. Club Buggery proudly features on song the Nissan Cedrics.
Help me to stand, help me to walk, help me to listen, help me to talk, and help me to smile, and help me to love, help us to live outside our Buggery Club.
And shouting when you're on top, enjoy the flop, Australia's brand new Beatles. And now, can you please give a big warm Australian welcome to our hosts for the night, direct from the Adelaide Casino, rampaging Roy Slaven and H.G. Nelson.
Yes, thanks very much, Ian Taps, Tubby. Thanks very much, Brand New Beatles. Thanks very much, Nissan Cedric's Kiwi customers. And welcome to Club Buggery for another Saturday night when too much variety will be barely enough. Tonight, Club Buggery coming to you from the Chesty Bond here at the Reef Casino. And to torch the wick on another week of action, intrigue, romance, danger and adventure in the bughouse, let's simply ask rampaging Roy Slaven, which issue have you plucked from the tissues this week? Pal.
Thank you very, very, very much, H.G. Nelson. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, does he or she not? Patrick Rafter stormed into, might have been the New York, I think it was. He took out, of course, the American Open, the US Open. He's the champion, number 3 in the world, but the Woodies aren't talking to each other. The Woodies. The Woodies. Mark and Todd. Not talking. As I think it might have been the Everly brothers here, that's right. Said all those years ago, it's so sad to see good love go bad. It's the same with the Woodies. Mind you, I've always hated Todd.
Yeah, well...
Todd's so ordinary. It was Mark who did all the work.
Oh, yeah.
Todd's just a petulant, no serve, can't volley, dud backhand, no stutter step, dead weight, hangs around, goes the blub, does nothing, gets up everybody's nose. I'm glad they're not talking.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any future for the Woodies? Could it be one Woody and somebody else, like, say, you know, the Pooh? One Woody and the Pooh. Woody and Pooh. Pooh and Woody. Woody, Pooh, Pooh, Woody, not two Woodies anymore? Could it work like that? You know, who have we got?
Bloody hell, I hadn't thought of that.
Who have we got? Who have we got?
I would like to say Mark Philippus. Sure, he's a big idiot. But if he changed his name to Woodapooses, we can have our new Woodies.
Yes.
And Todd who?
And his stutter step. Isn't his stutter step good? The
Best stutter step in the world.
I know, yeah.
Pity he falls over most of the time. It's a great stuff.
And with that as way of setting the scene here in the Bughouse, it's now time to welcome a man who claims the best 3 things to come out of England were cricket, Earl Grey tea and the common law. Nissan Cedric's, can you let fly at the Noel Pearson story?
No Pearson's on a roll, he stops. No Pearson has a go. Red hot and invite for all. We're dining in the hall at the One Australia Ball. No Pearson's on a stroll, he stops. From the furnace to the coal, red hot, he knows who makes the law.
Noel, thanks very much for coming in. And now, in your career, there are two unlikely influences on you. One, you might be able to, we shouldn't say that, set it up quite that way. One big influence on you is Paul Keating, and another influence on you, which is rather surprising to me, is Bob Katter, the National Party strong person, if I can use that word, from Queensland. Now, how does that come about, the Bob Katter end of the influence?
I started my political career as a councillor in my hometown in Hopevale in Cape York, and Bob Katter was the then extremely deranged Minister for Aboriginal Affairs. And he kind of panicked me into political action.
But do you get on with him in a social sense, even though obviously you're on separate divides of many questions and probably life
people in the
itself?
remote areas, strangely enough, are closer to the people from the National Party. You know, Katter comes in with a big hat on the plane, all jokey and friendly with the Aboriginal people. And Katter was one of those characters, you know.
In the current setup, where obviously the federal government is trying to ram through the WIC legislation or the 10-point plan, is it possible for you to talk with people in the government, you know, obviously unofficially, and get some sympathetic, you know, hearing?
It's been very hard over the last 12 months, very different from 1993. In 93, we were actually negotiating with the Prime Minister and Cabinet Subcommittee. It was much easier access to actually have our point of view heard by the politicians. This time around, it's been extremely difficult.
And is it generally, although the media may create a different impression, of that you are told what is going on? I mean, the negotiating
well, that's
group?
right. The document was put on the table and we were given enough time to read the thing, and the document was taken back. So what's resulted in the 10-point plan legislation is a total surprise. I mean, it's gone way over the top. It's nothing like the points that were put to us early this year.
Right. Now, in Paul Keating's influence in you, he had a sort of odd influence. At some stage, you may have been interested in being in the Labor Party, but he dissuaded you. I think his words were that you'd be wasted in it. What did you understand he meant by that?
His description of political life sounded pretty morbid and depressing. Long hours spent with not very interesting people and a bit of a grind, actually, he said. 20 years of it, he said. You're better off doing something else, mate.
Probably very wise counsel, I would say.
Noel, is Rob Borbidge a goose? How well do you get on with the Borb?
Not very well at all.
Have you had any meetings with the Borb at all?
I met him last year, actually, and it was I thought, this is fairly civilised character, and fairly urbane and stuff, but then the next week he was kicking the living hell out of the Cape York land use agreement, and I thought, gee, this is very strange. I've had a meeting with this guy, there's been no mention of the land use agreement. He's been very civilised and urbane, but the next minute he's just hoeing into the land use agreement we made with the cattlemen. Right,
so there are two Borbs.
Yeah, I think he changes colour very quickly.
Yeah, indeed. Now, you're a kiddie who, you know, has come from unusual circumstances into the law. Probably you'll end up, I don't know, a barrister, a QC. Would you like to be a QC? Can you see that looming? You're going to take silk?
Perhaps.
You'd like to do that?
Yeah, maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe on the Supreme Court?
We'll see.
Because the law, as soon as I can tell, the law has got a lot to do with language. Law is about language. Mr. Howard talks about a 10-point plan, but this turns into a document which, as nearly as I can tell, is about 300 pages long in language that I don't understand. Do you understand the language? Obviously you do.
Well, I do, and I do know that it's vastly different from the original legislation we negotiated with the federal parliament. I mean, it's extremely thorough legislation designed to extinguish the Aboriginal position.
Yes.
And we're going to fight our hardest to resist that.
Speaking of language, I think you speak 3 Aboriginal languages, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Are there concepts in Aboriginal language that are difficult to describe in English?
Yeah, they are.
Let's say Rob Borbidge is a goose. How would you say that in one of the 3 languages you've got?
I'd say ngapai burbur, which roughly translates thick head.
Well, see, I'd say there's a slight difference between goose and thick head. See, goose, to my mind, they've sort of got, you know, stupid head, sure, but sort of pointy. So there's a slight difference in language. Obviously,
Yeah,
goose is difficult to translate.
Yeah. Are the concepts in one Aboriginal language similar to the concepts in the others, or because they're regional differences, do they incorporate regional variations?
They are regional variations. In Cape York alone, there are about 60 languages. Yeah. For some arcane reason, people maintain these very esoteric differences in language over very close geographical distance, yeah.
Now, just going back to the land rights battle at the moment, is you must have done some research on how many Australians will actually benefit if apart from a lot of lawyers, if their 10-point plan is successful. Can you give us an idea of how many actual Australians will benefit?
Well, very small percentage of large landowning corporations. The president of the National Party, who owns a huge swathe of properties, will benefit from improved freehold tenure. Mm-hmm. He's presently got pastoral leasehold tenure. He'll get freehold tenure out of the National Party. Sultan of Brunei, you name them, they're going to benefit from this plan. And the taxpayer are going to be slugged with 75% of the compensation bill by the federal government. And whereas the Wick decision was all about no money. Yes. Wick said basically, listen, the two titles sit together, no one needs to pay anybody compensation, and yet we're going to have legislation which slugs the taxpayers with 75% of what will be a multi-billion-dollar compensation exercise.
See, this talk of certainty, I don't quite understand it. See, my understanding of the Wick decision was that if there was a conflict between pastoralists and Aboriginal interest, that the pastoralist interests would take precedence over that.
Simple as that.
Was that as simple as that?
Simple as that.
Well, what more certainty do you need?
Goodness knows. We're being told that this pendulum needs to swing back to the centre. The Aboriginal people have got everything, and yet under Wick, the balance that the High Court put forward was the two titles sit together, and if there's a conflict, the pastoral title prevails.
Yes.
Now, our question from the Aboriginal side is, well, isn't the pendulum stuck there in the middle in the first place? Mm. And unfortunately, what Prime Minister Howard is proposing is to rig the pendulum. Mm. This pendulum they're talking about is a rigged pendulum. And, you know, the country needs to understand that.
The role of the church in all of this I find fascinating. The church obviously, you know, dealt the Aboriginal communities a fairly stiff hand going back some time, and now the church is leading the charge for, you know, obviously reconciliation with regard Wick. I'm just wondering if you must find yourself in an ironic position with regard to the church.
Yeah, I come from a mission, a Lutheran mission, same church as Pearson, actually. Mm. we used to sit at the airport at Hopevale, and Joe used to arrive with Beryl, and Joe would come out throwing boiled lollies at us, and we'd be clutching for the boiled lollies. But one day he landed at Hopevale and charged through the barbed wire fence, scattering all these little Aboriginal people with Queensland flags. You know? But yeah, Joe was a member of the Lutheran Church, but I've got to say the churches have really got behind Mabo as a moral issue. Mm-hmm. They understand the importance of it, and I think there's a sense of desperation from church leaders that we're losing a bigger opportunity if this 10-point plan goes ahead.
Yes, it does seem palpable that, or it did feel palpable that a couple of years ago at least, there did seem to be a window of opportunity where reconciliation was elusively close.
Mate, it's still there.
So you still feel...
Still there. Yeah, we've got 2000, the Olympics, 2001. We got 400 metres to go for reconciliation. Mm-hmm. 400 metres, and we can get there. Mm. We can put all the necessary ingredients in place to get there. But, you know, we can't allow people in the members' stand sending the weasel from Wollstonecraft down to change the goalposts. We can't afford that to happen.
Continuing with sport, you're a big rap for the game of cricket. I'm just wondering where that comes from and what you think the game of cricket indicates.
I like to centre myself in the centre of lords in this whole debate, you know, because this debate about native title is about English heritage. Mm. This is about the law that came over here on the shoulders of the settlers, becoming part of the law of the land. And, you know, this is the Queen's law we're talking about here. And it should be the Liberals and the National Party who should be the first ones defending the common law of Mabo, you know. And the fact of the matter is that native title comes from lords. It comes from the centre of English institutions.
You were forced to play rugby union, though, as a kiddie, weren't you?
I always thought I was a contender.
Yes.
Mark Ella was my hugest hero, you know?
Sure.
Absolutely nourished my soul.
Yeah.
And the Ella brothers. I was
Yeah.
in high school at the time, and I thought I'm going to be a contender too. I was more important to me than law, university and stuff. But I was a kind of Mark Ella brain trapped in a Bob Collins body, you know? So I never quite got there.
Right. Right, so you're a bit slow, didn't have the handling skill. Just wasn't going to work
It's
for
a
you.
bit like Steve Waugh trying to play cricket in Onslow's body, you know?
Yeah.
And with the I noticed there was a very big ad in the Australian today, put in by obviously concerned citizens, for want of a better you know, description of them. How do you think that campaign can be carried forward away from the Aboriginal community? Obviously, you're at the cutting edge of it. How do you think that should develop for?
Mate, I was at the Mossman RSL on Tuesday night with the Australians with native title. There were 800 people packed, jammed in the room. 400 people or so turned away at the door. I can tell you, anxiety about Mabo and the mean atmosphere that is prevailing in this country, that anxiety is right there. I mean, in the Liberal heartland, Vaucluse, North Sydney, there's a great deal of anxiety about us losing this opportunity. I think the country senses that we've got 400 metres to go. And, you know, I'll be damned if we give up at this stage of the race, you know. We put some fantastic foundations down. The High Court led, Paul Keating consolidated it, and we're at this ridiculous situation where the Aboriginal people of the country are ready to sign up to the peace deal, you know? And for us to squander that opportunity at this stage, I mean, our responsibility falls on all Australians to be vigilant about preserving that opportunity, because these opportunities, as I say, come once in a nation's lifetime.
Well, on that sobering note, it's time to wish Noel all the best for a land rights-filled future. And I ask all Club Buggery viewers, whether here in the Bond or there at home, to clap a ratat in 4/4 time as a way of thanking Noel Pearson.
Noel Pearson's on a stroll. He stops from the furnace to the coal. Red high, he knows who makes the law.
It's time for the plumbers.
Pass the Smedworts, please, Merkin.
Are we allowed to have Smedworts, Master?
Oh, I can't resist them.
Oh, but Master...
Just pass the Smedworts. Thank you. Ooh. Something wrong, Dr. Root?
I'm sorry, Master, but have you been experimenting with your diet again?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm detecting an odor. Foul. Methane. Of human origin.
Oh, Dr. please, not while we're eating. It's probably Merkin anyway.
I never produce methane. Oh, in company anyway.
Oh, sure.
I don't. That's unfair.
Yeah?
I do exercises to strengthen the sphincter. It's not me.
Oh, someone has dropped a howler. It must be you, Dr.
No, it's not totally me. It's interesting, Master. It seems to be a combination of us all.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Well, it's put me off my food. My big excuse.
Oh, I can't stand it either, Master.
Oh, yes, it is a bit rich. Let's go to the flight deck. We'll consider our options.
Oh, no difference.
Well, right, that smell must be everywhere then.
Oh, yeah, it'll be in our clothes.
Well, Master, what's to be done?
Well, clearly it's a plumbing problem.
Correct, Master. The Deltane-class ships have a very complex plumbing system. It's really a job for the experts.
Right. We need the plumbers then. Merkin, ascertain the location of the nearest maintenance vessel.
Oh, surprisingly close, Master. We could beam a team from where we are.
Right. Make it so.
Greetings, BG crew. I'm Torstein, Master Plumber, and this is my assistant, Finn.
Welcome aboard, Torstein and Finn. I'm Ajax O'Leary, Master of Mirth, and we have a problem.
Reckon. Impressions, Finn?
Deltone class.
Yep.
Primary sluice overload.
Caused by?
Some fat idiot eating what looks to be smedworts.
Correctamundo, Finn. Against regulations. So, which one of you was it?
Well, personally, I never touch the warts. Smed cheese I'm rather partial towards.
I too like the Smed cheese, but I haven't eaten a wart since stepping onto the BG.
Well, someone has.
I used to eat smedworts years ago, but since then I realised the strain they put on sewage systems.
So, it's got to be you, big fella.
Now, hang on. Who said smedworts were the cause anyway?
Me, fella. Me and Finn and 35 years experience. Now, have you eaten wart?
He had cheese earlier today.
And warts.
Righto, Tubby. I thought as much. Looks like you're our man.
All right, so it was me. So you've flushed it all out. Let's just forget about it.
Listen, Slug. You think I enjoy going down the rat holes in these ships fishing out some clown's bum clots? What about young Finn here? You think she likes it? What, you think we like the glamour, hey? The smell and the feel of it, hey?
All right.
You stick to the rules, Bowser. What goes in, comes out.
Beam them back, quick.
Yes, all right, Master.
Remember, Butterball, eat well, you won't smell.
Shall I jettison the remaining smedworts, Master?
How many are left?
8 kilos.
No, I'll have them later.
While I'm incapable of action, I'm blinded with distraction. When I think of you, I think I just wanna be with you.
Yes, this week most Australians were shocked when the news came through from the stock exchange that Arnott's, that is the Arnott's Biscuit Company, had been sold completely to overseas interests. This is the last in a long line of Australian icons and wonderfully locally producing companies that are now owned by foreigners. Roy, I know your jaw hit the floor when the news came through from the stock exchange. What did Arnott's mean to you as an Australian, Roy? I mean, I'm talking to you as a prominent Australian.
Yes, Arnott's. Arnott's to me was Australia, HG. Arnott's was bloody everything.
Yeah.
Arnott's was, you know, getting tadpoles down in the creek. Arnott's was a couple of frogs left in creeks. Arnott's was being able to go and fish and pull in a flathead that you could eat. Arnott's was over the fence playing cricket in the backyard, 6 and out. Arnott's was not having to look up into the skies and wait for a bloody cloud to drop some rain to get a job. Arnott's was full employment. Arnott's was Australians walking proud. Arnott's was you get a bit of bloody, you get, say, a Jats, and you put a bit of, say, Kraft cheddar cheese on it. And maybe a cocktail onion cut in half and you put it on top. That was a party! People would come through the door, you just thrust one of their conga line, it'd start immediately and you were away. That's what Arnott's was. Oh, it's bugging.
Well, Roy, look, to revive a lot of memories, I bought in a box. So have a look out here.
Look at the old tin. That's how it used to be.
And speaking of your Jats, there's the magnificent packet of Jats there. But look, one of my favourites, and right off the top, I've got to introduce this. This is an Australian invention, the Salada biscuit. Now, have a look at this. There's nothing like this you can find. You can travel the world.
Yes.
You can go to New Zealand, Uruguay, you can go to Italy. You will not find a biscuit like this. Have a look at this. It's a 4-in-1, basically. There's the man-size Salada. There's the snack-size Salada. Are you with me? 2 snack sizes. And then you get the 4 bite-size Saladas. That's a bloody biscuit. That's an Australian invention. Up there with the Hills Hoist. Up there with the Stump Jump Plough. Up there with Farlap. Up there with Diggers Roy. They fought in 3 world wars on these. That's all. wanted was a place to bleed and a bloody salada biscuit, and they were happy. It's all gone.
Oh, I know, it's all gone.
Then, of course.
But to my mind, the standard is bloody gone. Look at you. These are spicy fruit rolls that I purchased this afternoon. Look at this. Since the Americans have taken over, look at this. Spicy fruit rolls used to have plenty of date in them. Yeah. Look at that, there's hardly anything there. You couldn't offer that to an overseas visitor or an overseas guest. No, you couldn't. In days gone by, you'd give them say, a honey jumble, or here they are, honey jumbles, or something like that. Yes. And they'd say, where did you get, what are these? We've never seen anything like them in our lives. No. You'd have to say, they're just arnots. They're just our biscuits. That's why we fought the war.
Look, and their advertising slogans, Roy, while you get one out, let's have a look at a honey jumble. Look at that. Bloody hell, that is a biscuit, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's bloody pathetic. Your honey bloody jumble. It used to be about 10 times bigger. And it used to be sort of soft. Oh, well, it is, well, not too soft now. Obviously. But your honey jumbles, they came in 2 colours. Yeah, there's your white. Well, look, you can't call that a biscuit.
No. No.
That's just a bloody excuse for nothing. That's just taking up space in packaging.
But look, Roy, you know, as you go through your box there, I don't know what else you've got there. I've got a packet of Tim Tams now. These Tim Tams, I know I'll surprise a lot of people, and look, this is a magnificent invention. It looks like a biscuit, but in reality, it's a straw. Let me demonstrate. If you are feeling packets, I don't know if I can swallow this and do this. You bite the ends off like this.
Brave man.
I'm having a little cup or two here like this. And this is magnificent. A bit of...
I think that combines both capillarity and osmosis. I think the Tim Tam becomes a semi-permeable membrane. From memory.
You know, I know a lot of people out there at the moment would be feeling a bit peckish, and I'm not talking about a Jats and a bit of Kraft single cheese. I'm talking about something with a bit of sugar in it, and there's nothing better than a nice cup of tea and cocoa.
Oh, it is.
Or, you know, coffee at this time, and a good packet, a couple of packets of it. And look how they package this. I know, this is called your extra value pack.
Yes.
I mean, that's Arnott's, always thinking.
Always thinking.
Roy, when they promoted these...
Look at your Scotch finger. Your Scotch finger used to have real bloody butter in it. Shortening, did it? Shortening.
How long ago was that?
In the old days. In the old days. It used to smell, they used Norco butter.
Norco?
Real bloody butter. You know, it was flour, a little bit of water. Mix it up in with the butter. Heat it up. More shortening, more butter. Sugar. More butter than anything else. And just a little bit of sugar, not too much. No. Not like it's all sugar these days. No. A little bit of pinch of salt. That was it. And in the old days as well, actually, you could, like these days, I should say, you can put a honey jumble in your mouth with blindfolded, and a Scotch finger, you can't, look. Both the same. Both the bloody same.
But how about these?
Rubbish, just sugar. They taste like American biscuits. Because American biscuits are just bloody sugar.
And rubbish.
No butter. Flour, a bit of water, and a big bloody bag of sugar.
Look, I put it to you that you get more food value out of the honey jumbles packet than the biscuits inside. Yeah, and that's a bold claim, and the Australian Consumer Association's backed me up on that. But going back to the story, the Arnott story, have a look at this. Now, these were marketed when I was a kiddie as a biscuit that you, under the headline, simply served with sayo. Oh, yes. Now, isn't that a copywriter's dream? You've got your alliteration, you've got your sort of, you know, the whistle flavour, simply served with sayo. And when you've had a couple of them and rammed them in your mouth and you say that slogan, there's a beautiful spray. And, you know,
I think the other slogan was there's no substitute for quality.
Yes, that's right. That's so
true. To wit, look at this bloody Monte Carlo. No, sorry, no, what do they call chocolate Monties?
Chocolate Monties.
Well, they're called Arnott Monty. They're not chocolate anymore, just Arnott's Monty. Oh. And they used to be really knobbly. Oh, yeah. Look at that, smooth as a baby's butt. What happened to the nobble? Yeah.
And, of course, the...
Tastes like what, just sugar?
The pièce de résistance, the assorted cream, and didn't you love it if, you know, sort of the aunties were coming, or your uncle might be coming in on a Sunday afternoon and tucked under the arm for the cup of tea. It was the assorted cream.
Instant party.
Indeed. Deliriously with happiness. You've got your Delta creams, you've got your orange slice, you've got your Monte Carlo, you've got your shortbread cream, you've got your Kingston, a biscuit that I'm not familiar with.
I hate the Kingston.
Yeah, I know they're...
I went right off assorted creams when they introduced the Kingston. That was an American idea.
Roy, obviously.
Because they're now they're bloody cookies. They're not even biscuits.
Yeah.
It's made now for your Asian market, because your Asians are stupid. They don't know what real biscuits are like.
No.
You know, a biscuit was a biscuit. And the other thing was with your bloody harnets, no two looked alike.
Oh.
It's as if they were handmade. But look at them now. Look here. They're all the bloody same.
I want to... You know how, can I just finish up on the biscuit rave in a way by saying, you know how your ginger snaps and your butternut cookies used to be biteable and, you know, they used to take out a tooth whenever you bit into them? Well, now they melt in your mouth. I mean, it's just ridiculous. What are we going to do about it, Roy, though? I mean, I don't think this is worth
Go to Peak Friends? Or Western?
No, I won't. They're owned overseas. I know they're owned overseas.
Well, we've just got to boycott the product.
Indeed.
We've just got to say, sorry, Arnott's. Rubbish. Sorry.
You just made the first night, Roy, by doing that.
I'm terribly sorry for this, but
look,
it was a moment of genuine bloody passion. Look, I loved Arnott's.
Yes.
Arnott's was my life.
And your dentists. Roy, can I just say that I believe that we have to go back to our roots and start making our biscuits ourselves. All these biscuits we see tonight were originally coughed up in people's kitchens. And I brought in something I knocked up today. It's a bit of date slice. Have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't this represent everything you would like a bloody biscuit to be?
That's a biscuit.
It's got your date, it's got your rolled oat, it's got your coconut, it's got your flour, it's got your sugar, and it's crunchy when it should be and soft where it should be as well. And
compare.
Indeed, yes.
Compare and contrast.
Yes, indeed.
One hopeless, the other just a thing of beauty, a work of art.
Indeed.
Something you could eat.
That's right. We've got to get back to making our own
This is the in end, this is the out end.
Yes. And now, my very good friends, if you've ever wanted to wriggle the hips...
Arnott's.
If you've ever...
Sorry, crew.
Oh, the crew will be more worried than Arnott's, I think, Roy. And now, my very good friends, if you've ever wanted to wriggle the hips in the continental manner, tonight is the night for you. As you resume the perpendicular and slip into something more comfortable, our next guest has the perfect pitch to put you in the pants around the pedal extremities picture. Tonight, she's supported by the brand new Beatles and the chart-topping Nissan Cedrics. The tune, a variety classic plucked from the gilt-edged box stacked on the very top shelf in the supermarket. It is the Henry Mancini dollop of slippery, silky, smooth in the shape of Moon River. Australia, can you breakfast at Tiffany's as you welcome to the Bug House the Queen of the Cummerbund and the swirling skirt, Ms. Deborah Conway.
You heart world. There's such a lot of words to see.
Yes, that was the Amanda Vanstone Jobs Drought arrangement of Moon River there. Tremendous work from the brand new Beatles, unveiling, I think for the first time, their totally new European look. And the Nissan Cedrics, well, they're still topping the charts. And what about Deborah Conway? Well, it was pure smooth. Now, continentally speaking, as smooth as a tin of carnation milk drizzled from the can onto a Laminex table.
I'd go with condensed milk.
Condensed milk.
Even smoother.
Even smoother. Or a tube of Tongala milk. I don't know whether they still make Tongala milk, but I'd love to think they did.
They probably do.
All you had to do at home there was supply the hips and the lips and the dessert wine. And now it's time to welcome to the Bug House a man who has thrilled kiddies of all ages who love the rugby league. Nissan Cedrics, can you cuddle up to a brick with eyes and lay the foundations of the Glenn Lazarus story?
When you need a prop, who's hard to stop? When you need a forward, who can swing the sword? And when you need a man, who raise his hand? When you need the class, just to pop the gas. When you need a brick, who knows every trick? Who's at his best in the heat and test? Why all this fuss? This is Glenn Lazarus.
Yes, thanks for coming in, Glenn. And to set the scene, we need to have a look at a bit of a highlights package. There's a few highs here, but there's a couple of lows you mightn't want to look at. I think we see you scoring a try for Canberra against Parramatta. Might have been a record score this day against Parramatta. You get one away, you're Johnny on the spot, you almost get it under the posts, and there you are diving over there. A wonderful try there. And next we see a State of Origin try. Benny lays on something a bit special there for you, close to the line, and over you go. Looked as though you might have dropped the ball, but doesn't matter. Here's a beautiful planned move, a Wayne Bennett special. Look what lays on here. Khan gets the ball in the air. It bounces back 25 metres. You're there, away you go.
Johnny on the spot.
Johnny on the spot again. And now we come to a couple of lesser highlights. Here you are, I think it's against Manly. I think you do an ankle here. Obviously the weight there pushes you in the direction that the ankle didn't want to go in, and so it broke. And mercifully there was a truck on hand, bit of a tap on the back. Now here you are on a recent club challenge match. You jump in the air, you try and do an Alfie special, and unfortunately the ankle decides to leave before you do. And that's the cause of recurrent hobbling. How is the ankle?
Well, the ankle's doing fine. I had a screw removed from the ankle a week and a half ago, and now it's just a matter of rehabilitation and day after day physio. But unfortunately, I won't be coming back this year.
Now, when you do an ankle like that, previous to that, you would have been eating an awful lot, because you would have been playing. Do you consciously have to cut down the eating because you're not expending as much energy in the lifting the weights or the training or whatever it is?
Well, you're supposed to, but look, ironically, I'm probably the lightest I've ever been lightest I've been this year, and I've come to resign to the fact that I won't be playing again, so I'm sort of having my mini off-season at the moment and probably start in a month's time.
And speaking of the off-season, the Bronx have got one more game. It's next Saturday night. The results tonight produced a bit of a, well, I don't know how to see this from the Broncos' point of view. You're playing Cronulla in the Super League final. Now, previous matches against Cronulla, one you've been belted and the other one you belted them. What do you think's going to happen next Saturday night?
Well, you know, Cronulla did us a huge favour roughly 10 weeks ago now. They gave us an awful touch-up, and we just realised that the way we were playing just wasn't going to be good enough to win any sort of a competition. And unfortunately, last year we came up against Cronulla in the semi-finals, and they highlighted the fact on our last game of the year. So we've got some, probably, you know, a thank you to Cronulla for that. But as I said, the last 8 weeks we've turned it around, and as we saw last week, we played some real good football. In fact, the Broncos are probably white hot for 40 minutes last week, and I'm not saying they're not going to be this weekend either, but I'm sure they'll have to play a little bit better than what they did last week.
Glenn, have you ever done the footy show? Have you been on the footy show?
Oh, a couple of times, yeah.
Did they get you to do anything silly, like wear a dress or nappies or something like that?
No, not at all. Not, thank God, no.
They didn't make that request? No. Now, is the Brisbane footy show still going? That had Badge Belcher and that
That's
lot?
a sore point at the moment. It's not going. They've decided to go with the Sydney one, and they
Well, I always thought the Brisbane one was a better show than the Sydney one, without, you know, talking the Sydney one down, because it's very good, as you know.
It is.
But is that a source of some concern amongst Brisbane people?
Yeah, I'd have to say it would be. I think, and I'm mainly guessing here, that the ratings were a lot better last year when they took their local footy show. So I dare say that there is a bit of animosity there towards the Sydney one, but I'm sure they still watch it.
Yeah, well, look, the reason I raised this is that HG and myself happened to be over at Channel 9 just before the footy show went to air last, must have been Thursday night. We were just doing a little bit of work for, you know, helping Channel 9 out with a couple of ideas. And we bumped into Spuddy Carroll from the Manly team, a great friend of yours, obviously. Now, he said to me that Manly would do the Broncos so easy, it's not funny. He said the Broncos would have trouble making the final 7 in the ARL competition. How do you feel about that? Because that's what Spud's saying.
Is he? Yeah, Spud says a lot of things.
Yeah.
They all aren't necessarily true, but a lot of them are. And look, we'll never know, will we, whether the Broncos would have went all right in a united competition, because it's just not going to happen.
Well, see, we proposed this. We proposed this when we were talking to Ricky Stewart ages ago, that the ABC, neutral parties here, organise a sort of Super Bowl match between Manly and the Broncos, should the Broncos win. All money's to go to a charity.
Manly are going to win, are you?
Yeah, well, let's assume Manly wins, and let's assume the Broncos win, both competitions.
Okay, yeah.
All money's to go to charity. Brian Johnson's in the audience here tonight. He can endorse this and say, yes, it's a good idea. All we need is your people to say it's a good idea, because I know Spud, speaking for Manly, he's on board. Now, are you prepared to speak on behalf of the Broncos and say we'll do this?
We've agreed that it is a good idea.
Yes. No, that's not agreeing. Let's say let's do it. I want to hear you say yes.
We've agreed that it's a great idea, and it's something that should be looked at if and when we become one.
No, well, bugger that. That may not happen. Let's say in a month's time.
Yeah. Well, it won't happen.
You'll meet on the ABC at a neutral venue. We'll cover it.
Whereabouts?
All money's to go to charity.
Right. Yep.
The Sydney Cricket Ground.
Oh, OK. Well, that's not really neutral, is it?
Oh, all right.
The Lithgow, Watford Oval in Lithgow. Bloody hell.
Let's not argue about the shape of the table here in our discussion.
Look, yeah,
You'll accept that?
I'd accept the fact that it should be played at the beginning of next year, and it should be a charity match, and all money should go to charities, yes.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
It is a tremendous improvement, and what I like to see is, you know, you, Roy, with a player, solving the problems that all those people like Rupert Murdoch and Kevin Packer and, you know, I know, Neil Whittaker and Reeves can't get together with. It's fantastic.
Well, if we can get this done, Northern Ireland, not a problem.
That's right.
Beirut, Middle East and so on. We could do it, Glenn.
I'm sure
we can do it.
I'm sure you
Buddy, just takes...
Now, can you cast your eye over the ARL now that we're talking about Manly? Is there a team there that can beat Manly, do you think?
Yeah, I think there is, and I think they played last night. I think that East, the one thing that is going in their favour is that they've had very few injuries. We saw today Parramatta and North sustaining injuries, but I think East have just got that experience on board with Freddie Fittler and the like, so I think they'll have something to say about Manly winning back-to-back premierships.
They had a terrible trough in the middle of the season, East, but I know they had a lot of injuries, but they're obviously coming good at the right time.
Yeah.
And do you follow it at all? I mean, you know, obviously you follow the Super League because that's what you do, but do you cast an eye over and watch the matches as they unfold?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing football, and I enjoy watching football on TV, whether it's Super League or ARL.
Glenn, you went through a period of stomping on blokes. Now, why was this? Why would a bloke
I
like
don't
you,
really
a
know.
charming, young, credit to his family,
that's the key
to the
word.
Queanbeyan area, to rugby league in general, a credit
Yeah.
to Australia, let's face it.
Yeah. Well,
stomping on blokes' heads, stomping on their...
No, well, not on their heads, but...
Well, listen, we had a case in, might have been the AFL last week, I think it might have been Wayne Schwass, got 4 weeks for stomping on a bloke's cruets. Now, have you ever stomped on a bloke's cruets?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Well,
In
what do
fact,
you stomp on? What do you like stomping on?
Well, look, I don't like stomping, full stop.
Well, you did.
Well, I know, and if you let me explain, I will. This happened a couple of years ago, and look, it was just a frustrated old football player, I think, more than anything. And why I did, I don't know. I'm wearing moulded soles, and that wouldn't hurt nor bruise a grape. So it happened a couple of times. I was sent a letter, warned about it, and that was the end of it.
That's it?
That's it.
That's your
There's
excuse?
no dramatic story about it, Roy. That's what,
Just a frustrated football?
Yeah, it was, yes.
Where did you get him? On the hand? On the...
Oh, the hand, whatever was sort of sticking out there.
Can I ask you about play? You play for the Broncos now. The Broncos provide, historically speaking, a whole heap of players for state of origin teams. I know this is a bit of a moot point at the moment. How does it feel when you've got to, say, train with the lads and play with the lads on the weekend, then you go into camp with, you know, obviously a New South Wales coach. Then you have to front up and start belting into Alfie and, you know, Wendell Saylor and so on. And then on the following Sunday, you've got to go back and play with them. I mean, I've always wondered how you actually get around that sort of problem.
Well, I can't. I mean, it's just a problem, and it's a problem I like having every year. But the fortunate thing for me is that every year that I've been now with the Broncos 6 years, and 95 was the only year that I didn't play State of Origins for one or two reasons, but every year that I have played, I have been in a winning New South Wales side, so I've had a lot to go back to training with. And in fact, I just sit there and don't say anything, and I can tell they're burning, and they can't say anything, and that's what I like about playing for New South Wales. But it's not a nice place to be, Brisbane, and look, Brisbane's a wonderful place, but when I'm playing for New South Wales, there is that little bit of animosity, and I have to admit, I'm really very happy when the 3 weeks or the 3 State of Origins are over, so we can get back to normality, and of course the Brisbane public supporting me again.
Glenn, can I suggest, when I was playing, I used to much prefer hitting my mates, hitting my friends. It was much easier to do than hit people you don't know.
I don't know about that.
You haven't found that? You don't like hitting
not
mates?
at all. No, I don't like hitting mates, no.
You're a funny bloke, aren't you? You go to the stomp and you don't like hitting mates.
But is it difficult? You must be in a difficult bind if, say, Alfie gets badly tackled, either by yourself or somebody else, badly tackled.
Yeah, well, in fact, there was sorry, Roy, HG, there was a situation this year where Stephen Noof was hit fairly heavily, and what looked to be a fairly high tackle, and in fact wasn't, but he had broken his jaw, and I'm wearing a New South Wales jumper, and of course he's wearing Queensland. And you didn't know whether to go over and console him or pat the guy on the back for actually putting the hit on. So in those situations, it does become a little bit difficult. Yeah.
And just with this, the ongoing feud at the highest levels in the game, how much does that affect the players? I mean, you know, personally speaking, you know, the club that I follow goes around, so I watch it, and, you know, obviously the standard isn't quite the same, but, you know, from the players' point of view, they just battle on with whatever cards are dealt with.
Yeah, I think all players from both sides have realised that they can only control what happens on the field, and what happens off, well, it happens, and I think the players and the coaches and the coaching staff of every club in Australia have just gone about their business, and it's very disappointing for me, because I think there's been some wonderful football played this year on both sides of the coin, and we really haven't been you know, given the opportunity to see and hear about or read about those games. We've obviously read and heard, and we're virtually sick of hearing and reading about the battle. You know.
Do you like Arnott's biscuits at all?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Good.
No. When did you stop?
To hear that.
Yeah, when did you stop eating them?
Oh, a couple of days ago.
A couple of days ago.
Look, obviously, no one goes away from this show empty-handed. And a while ago, we were working on a radio program we still do from time to time for Triple J called This Sporting Life. And when a certain nickname bobbed up, which wasn't a million miles from the name Glenn Lazarus, a listener sent in an objet dart, which we'd like to hand on to you now, courtesy of the show. It's this magnificent brick with eyes. It's a wonderful souvenir of a wonderful playing career, and I think Roy would like to do a comparison.
Oh, no, it just sits there very nicely. It's a very good likeness.
Try again, I don't think...
Try again, oh, we didn't catch that yet.
Yeah, there.
Very nice. Now, just finally, Glenn, speaking of bricks, you did a bit of work for Austral Bricks, didn't you?
No, I swear, please. New Brick.
Oh, the New Brick.
Affiliated.
They're not as good as Austral, are they?
Yes, they are. They're a lot better.
And that obviously was a very successful promotion.
Well, apparently so, yeah.
Well, it's got people talking Austral Bricks, and that's got to be a good thing.
No. You keep swearing.
Now, did they approach you knowing that you were known as the Brick with Eyes, obviously, but how did they approach you about it?
New Brick are an offshoot of Pioneer Building Products, and they're a Melbourne company, and they've got it's only a small operation in Brisbane, and these guys really didn't know how successful this would be, so they took various things out into the marketplace, just a shot of my eyes and things, and asking people whether they knew who it was, and a lot of people said yes, which was a big surprise. But apparently the billboard that was put up, the one that I'm fairly embarrassed about, was put at both highways leading out of Brisbane, and copped a fair bit of flack from certain councils in both the Sunshine and the Gold Coast area. So that in itself would mean that the campaign was pretty successful, because it got a fair bit of press.
Yes. Well, you were lucky with that nickname. I mean, it could have been, the brick with...
Well, I've got you guys.
The brick with a dip.
In fact, I remember... In fact, there has been, a couple of times there's been a P instead of a B. But we won't go into that. But yeah, I remember talking to HG some 5 years ago. I picked you up at the Sheraton in a Black Thunder, and you were saying that you actually can't take the credit for it.
No, I can't. I can't. It was a fan who actually coined it. Yes. And,
who did that, probably?
Yes, probably indeed. And I'd love to see a billboard with that one flute high. An interesting piece of art. And on that cheerful note, it's time to wish Glenn a bump-filled future. And I ask everybody, whether they're at home or here in the Bond, to get out a couple of bricks and bang them together as a way of thanking the Brick with Eyes, Glenn Lazarus.
When you need a man who'll raise his hand, when you need the glass just to pop the vase, when you need a brick who knows every trick, who's at his best in a heated test, why all the fuss? That was Glenn Lazarus.
Come to that moment in the show where we celebrate your endeavour with the vines. Before we have a look at the happy couple who are probably even now sweating with sweaty palms, hoping they're going to win. Let's have a look at who greeted the judge this time last week. Roy.
Yes, it was Steve, Naomi, Mike and Trish HG. Here they are in the club. They went off to the Broncos Leagues Club, where Darren Smith met them. Darren Smith looked after them beautifully, gave them some beers, and then went to a fair bit of trouble with pies, gravy, and chips, by the looks of things. Yes, and they had a tremendous night. Even though the pies were frozen, they had a great night.
This is living.
Oh, yeah.
And this week the prizes include the Nissan Cedric CD going for a song.
36 with a bullet in the top 40.
Indeed. And Elton's new offering may hold him out from the #1 slot, unfortunately. Deborah Conway's latest offering, along with Paul Kelly's greatest hits CD, plus... well, it's the bicentennial of the Newcastle area, and this magnificent book celebrates that in Novocastrian Tales.
Tremendous
so that's a bit of local history there as well.
All profits go to the John Hunter Hospital, HG. Plus, we're sending a lucky couple off this week, HG, to the Lipizzaner Stallions at the Entertainment Centre. It's horses, horses, horses. These are rear and fighting horses. They're big, white, stupid horses that kick in any direction. What a night this is going to be. I don't know what they do. They don't sing. They don't talk. They just get ridden on. Because... this is living. Oh, yeah. Congratulations. How are you going? What's your name?
Simon.
Simon?
And saffron.
And saffron. Look, you've done marvellously well. I love this. It looks like silk. Is it silk?
It's silk.
It's raw silk?
Raw silk.
Is it Australian made?
Absolutely.
Is the tie Australian made?
Absolutely.
Is your gear Australian made?
100%.
100%. Well, congratulations. Tell you what, you've got the Novocastrian towels there, you've got the CDs, you've got the product shot, because...
This is living.
Yes, well done.
While I'm incapable of action, I'm dizzy with distraction. When I talk with you, I guess I want to be one with you.
Yes, Roy, this time, well, the last time we were on, we actually set the nation a stumper. Roy, what was it and how did the nation respond?
Yes, the question was, I think, HG, which Australian has the best American accent? There are the three. Let's have a look at the results. Julian, Bob or Greg. The Shark, easily 55%. I would have thought Bob Ansett.
Oh, yeah.
He was born American.
Indeed. And now, this week, we're setting the nation another stumper for their consideration. Roy, what is it, and where do they send their responses?
Yes, it's as follows. Is Rob Borbidge A, competent? B, OK. C, oh, I don't know, he seems all right. Or D, a dangerously stupid goose. Send it to Club Buggery, GPO Box 9994, Sydney 2001.
Now, sadly, we come to the end of another show. Roy, where are you off to in the coming set of 7?
Actually, well, I think I'm going to have a street party this week. Yes. Just going to block off either end of the street, get all the neighbours together and sort out the parking problems. Because it's driving this nation crazy. I mean, sure, you can have your aunt's problems, but parking.
How bad is it, Roy?
Oh, people have got to park 50 kilometres away.
Walk in.
And get a plane.
Look, I've got a busy week. On Wednesday, I'm going down to the La Trobe Uni Bundoora campus to see Margaret Linley give the Ron Barassi Memorial Lecture for 1997. It's a football lecture. It's something a little bit different, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of room for anybody who wants to come along. And then I'll be obviously catching up with Nissan Cedric's national tour. There's Sydney and Brisbane this week and Melbourne next week. So Nissan Cedric's buffs, check your local guides for all the details there. And as
big week for them, isn't it?
Oh, very big week. You know, 38 with a bullet. I mean, they would want to be in
I think it's 36 with a bullet.
36. They've moved up 2 slots
already.
And, you know, obviously this week they're aiming to get into the top 20.
Yes. No, top 10.
Top
Wouldn't
10?
it be good? Elton is probably going to be number 1.
Yeah, I think so. Elton will be number 1. And
Yeah.
Sed's number 2.
Sed's number 2.
Yeah.
Well, that's not too bad.
Not being able to force the struck match between them?
No.
As we sign off from the Chesty Bond, Roy and I'd like to thank Noel Pearson, Glenn Lazarus, Deborah Conway, the Nissan Cedrics, the brand new Beatles, Ian Terps Turpy, and you, the audience, whether here in the Bond or there at home on the beer pier in Lear. Thanks once again for taking an interest in variety. Finally, it's time for Act 25 in the national 1997 Battle of the Sounds. Tonight, the battle boils over and leaves a nasty mess on the stove to be tidied up in the morning with a bit of a buzz coming in the background there. The entry, a classic of rural and feedback heartbreak, simply called Dumb Things. Australia, put on the jug and take the biscuits out of the oven. The biscuits you made yourselves out of the oven as you welcome to the supper club in the Bug House, Mr. Paul Kelly. See you next week, Australia.